Can you hear me?
Yes. Let me.
Yay!
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
How was your trip?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
I
It was
leave
so much
tomorrow.
fun.
Yeah, I leave tomorrow for London and the Cotswolds, then Paris, and then
Oh,
Tangier.
oh, how
So,
great. That's a
do it
good
while I
trip.
can. Do it while I can, right, Claire?
I love it. I love it. You look
I have
great.
I have a T-shirt on, so I'm not so properly dressed. So
That's okay.
people
That's the
know that
beauty of Zooming. You don't have to get,
people
fully.
know that I'm not so fancy.
You look fabulous. So I'm so ha thank you for doing this. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank
so I haven't done this in a while because I started this and I had it on Instagram and then I got hacked and so I
you. Oh
lost the
God.
whole
Yeah.
thing. But I had done I'd met with Nathan Turner and Leanne Thornton. So you're my third and I'm just starting back
Oh,
in and
good. Two
so I'm
people I
excited.
two people I like very much. So
I know. So that's the theme. My
great.
favorite designers who are so talented and I love so much.
Well, I don't know if I'm a designer.
Well, you know what? You're a man of great style
I
and
do what
everything
I
you do.
do, right? Anyway,
Well, you know what I was thinking what's so fun about this is that you're actually my friend and we've known each other,
quite some
you
time.
know, 35 years. You know that? That's
Yeah,
how long. Isn't that amazing? That's crazy.
crazy.
Um, so anyway, it's so interesting to me. Your career is fascinating to me because it's creativity, but it spans over every medium, magazine, print, and now film, which I think is so exciting for you. Is that something that you want to continue with and kind of get it more into that
Well,
visual, of film?
I think the whole film happened because of Urban Electric,
Right.
and I met Dave. We had a chat. He knew about me. I'm a big fan of the current this magazine or book they put out once a year. And, he had this idea of doing a celebration as they always have when they launch their new issue. And so you used to design windows. I have this idea. I want you to look at each of the portfolios and I want you to design a window, your vision of how you see it. And, you know, I had no idea, honestly, they were going to do a film on me. I thought this Josh was following me to do little bites on their Instagram for a tease to promote the new issue. Anyway, this film came out. So I just kind of, because I did what I did with them, and to me, it wasn't window display, it was more like stage sets.
Right.
So, and way back in the 70s where I started my career, we called it street theater because it was theater. Way back when people were designing windows, there was a different energy in New York. The way people dress, the way people express themselves. You had so many different people doing different windows. You had Simon Downtown. You had Larry Laszlo doing Bertolf Goodman. You had Colin Birch doing Bonwood Teller. You had Candy Pratt's Price doing shoe windows at Charles Jourdan. Then she went to Bloomingdale's. Madison Avenue, you had Halston, Victor Hugo. The energy was so different. Everyone was individual, but everyone was saying something in their windows.
Mm.
And especially Bendel's, not because I worked there, yes, because I worked there, of course. Bendel's was a very, very special store. It was a townhouse, as you know. It was size 0 to 6. And it wasn't for everyone. And Geraldine Studs, who will always be my mentor and gave me this big break, she believed in my talent. It wasn't easy in the beginning because other people wanted this job. I had no idea I was going to get this great job. And my life changed. My life opened to different beauty, I've always loved fashion because I went school to become a fashion designer, and then I didn't want to sew or cut patterns. So they said, well, try merchandising window display. And I enjoyed putting things together. And, it's not that I fell into it. I just to, merchandise the whole first floor of the street of shops, design shops. Doing windows to me was dressing these mannequins was like doing a photo shoot for a fashion magazine because our customers wanted to be that mannequin. That,
Right.
and I did all the makeup, real makeup.
Oh.
One of my associates did all the hair. It was like it was
You
a
kind of
stage.
did everything. Yeah.
It
You
was a
just got
stage.
it done.
It was a stage set. It just wasn't a window display. But what I did for Urban, I've never worked with big production people. The people in Brooklyn, they do stuff for Dior, Chanel, they do stuff for uh, Burberry, Calvin Klein. So we were building set designs, so it wasn't just me going in there with a prop or borrowing furniture. It
Right.
was a different experience.
So
So
cool.
for me, it's like, okay, the film was great. And, it's been traveling around, and we're going to Nantucket next for Design Week. We just showed it here in New York. We started in Palm Beach, LA, Charleston, New York, and it keeps going. Um,
So
and
great.
it just makes me see things differently. So I don't think about is where I want to do films because I was the subject of that film and my great collaboration with Urban. And it was like working with a family, it's like, it was a joint effort and it was a wonderful experience. And I think we delivered what I call the wow factor. And when we had that block party, it was like
Oh,
an old New York happening. I mean, you were there. Uh,
oh, the best.
and
The best.
I had no idea. There were about 400 people that night. And it was
Unbelievable.
just like, so, if I am, I mean, I still will continue to produce shoots. I still will continue to uh, consult brands, talk to designers. Uh, but I would love the opportunity if there is that kind of opportunity. I would love to design a ballet. I mean,
Mm,
to go into a theater and to design a stage set. It's like
amazing.
that's what I felt what we did on 10th Street. They were mid they were stage sets.
Absolutely. And how
Players.
fun for you because it takes you back to where you started with
Well, yeah, I
the
mean here
Bendels.
I was, 22 in my 20s, maybe 22, maybe a little bit older. And the bottom line, when Dave Dawson, who owns Urban, and he said, I have this great idea. And I said, I never, I never, I never say yes on the first date. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Doing Bendel's and doing Tiffany's was, I always called Tiffany's, I was looking into a camera, creating the most beautiful still life because of the
Mm,
size of the windows. And,
right.
I love putting things together. I
Mm,
love the idea of taking objects and making a story or creating something beautiful.
mm,
So, I wasn't sure that I was am I sorry, I'll be very honest. Am I good
mm.
enough? Can I do this? Or it's like, well, you've done that then, and now you're going back to do this. And, I had to make sure I was going to represent them and make them proud. And also, their name was on it, my name was on it. And as you know, everyone's a critic. All these interior designers, all these people who are there. And, just watching people's reaction was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, that night, I mean, of course I remember, but it was like, oh my God.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah. I
And in
mean,
LA too, I saw,
it was, yeah,
the
in
same
LA.
reaction in LA and a very different environment, but
Yeah.
equal in the excitement over what you're doing. I
I
think
mean,
that's what's so fun about it.
I
So
mean,
great.
LA,
Mm,
I was overwhelmed by the reaction. I mean, everyone, the reaction to people was fantastic. We had Wendy Goodman, I had
Yeah.
Margaret Russell in Palm Beach. I had Amanda Skyer, who's the CEO of the Flagler. There was everyone who interviewed me after. It was so different. Wendy and Margaret Russell knew me very well, and last week Michael Boudreau, who
Right.
I worked with at El Decor, and Margaret Russell, I worked with at AD, and Wendy. We were editors running around. We used to run around in Paris together, and it was just it was
So
great
cool.
to have the people that you worked with and who are
Right.
in that industry celebrate this.
Right. And to appreciate your work. No, those are the people that you care about the most. Those are the people
Yeah,
that really know design. They really know the industry. They really know you. It's such a fun thing that those are the people that are out there for you and so proud of you. And that was a great night in New York too.
it was. It
It
was.
was
It,
so exciting, the energy
it
and
was beyond. It was beyond.
such a cool thing to be on that
Oh
street.
my
It
God.
was just cool. It was like a beautiful night and your windows were just amazing. And I remember
Yeah,
you saying to me, just look up, just look up and see what's happening here. And it was just it must have been overwhelming
it was.
because
Because when I got
full
out of that
circle.
car and I walked down that block, I went, oh my God. And I also think, I mean, I never went inside the stores that there were the most beautiful food
Mm,
displays. I
yes.
was I was almost frightened by all the people. It's like,
Right.
what? Like, I'll run into someone now and say, oh, that was a great event in September. I was like, you were there? Oh, Robert, I I didn't have one drink from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night.
I
I
hope
mean,
you did. I
I
hope you did after that because it was
I,
amazing.
I did it. I was like, this really happened. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I'm humbled by it. I am beyond grateful, and I say this in the film, and I sincerely mean this because we all have egos. We all have great
Yeah.
pride in what we do. But till this day, I don't know. I mean, of course, I know who I am, and I know what I've worked hard for and care about, but I don't realize the journey I have had. I don't realize
Yeah.
that people respect me and look up to you because sometimes, when you're not associated with a magazine, and I've been on my own for 4 years, to have someone give you this opportunity, it was it was just beyond for me, and I'm beyond grateful. And and the emails I get and the notes and the texts, it's just overwhelming because, you were so honest. It's like, why wouldn't I be honest? I
Right.
started at the bottom. I knew where I grew up. I knew where I came from. And, you know, being a self-made person, that's who I am. And
Right.
I'm, I love my parents. And I had some up and down times in my career, but you got to get up. You
Yeah.
have to, there's nothing wrong with falling down and just saying, okay, what's next? And look ahead and just be positive.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think especially in today's world with, uh, TikTokers and things sort of these young people thinking you sort of can make a quick, sort of everyone's sort of branding themselves to see
Right,
your story and the longevity and
right,
the
right,
endurance of your
right,
career
right,
is
right.
so important to say
Yeah.
you just, keep at it. It's sort of like Martin Short did a really great documentary recently, and
Mhm.
he says the same thing. I never thought, he's very humble. He
Yeah.
was a star, but never saw himself that way. He just kept working. He was just
No.
working. I work because I'm working. Yeah,
I mean,
and
people stop me in the street because they follow me. I mean, I don't post.
yeah,
My Instagram has become more personal about flowers or the sky. Not that I post, yes, I promoted the film on Instagram, but I just don't realize what I do. I mean, it's just I still get excited to go on a shoot, to tell the story, and that's what makes me happy. That gives me great energy.
yeah.
And
the visual creativity in any
Yeah.
form. So
I
that's
mean,
it's
what I find disappointing with a lot of people in this generation, oh, well, I'm going to be a star overnight.
yeah.
I, I, I do, uh, I teach, I don't teach, I do lectures at the School of Interior Design for the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh,
And
that's
these
great.
students who are like interior designers, like they're ready, they're graduating, and some of them are pre-grad, they've been to school and they changed their career and they can't wait to open their shop. It's like,
Yeah.
well, no, you need to go
Yeah.
work for someone. You just don't, hi, I have arrived.
Right.
I mean,
That's right.
you got to work hard to get where you get.
Yeah.
And listen, some people have it, sometimes it's being at the right time at the right place, but even back in the 70s, I was at the right time at the right place. And I know there were two other people up for the job. I didn't think I was going to get the job because I didn't have the experience that they had. But
Yeah.
I had the drive to learn and to roll up my sleeves and say, okay, okay, there were long hours we worked. There were things I did and we did, things I've never done before. The
Mm.
Christmases, the scale of Henri Bendel and the importance of that store in the 70s and the 80s. And, you know, it was like Bendel's was uptown, Barney's was downtown, two different energies, but so powerful. And what Simon did was so avant-garde and always political statements and we were
Mm.
like, we were a fashion house. It was the best fashion, and there was a looseness. Bendel's was a club,
Mm.
the music, the way people dressed, the attitude. It was a,
It was so
it, it,
cool.
it,
So much
it,
cooler
it
back
yeah,
in those days.
it was an eye opener.
Yeah.
And
And the other thing too is like the way you said when you started at Bendel's, you were willing to do any, I mean, you just did what was
yeah,
required. You
yeah,
did the makeup, you did
yeah.
the everything,
Well,
you know.
the makeup was I mean, that wasn't required. That was something that when I got there, Robert Curry, who was the genius who really started street theater, he said, you should learn how to do makeup. Because when I got there, I didn't realize he was going to leave within a year. Okay. So
Oh,
I
okay.
was gonna, and then he went out on his own to become a interior designer and a set designer. And he came in every now and then to help with special projects. And he really showed me the ropes. And
Mm.
and then I met Geraldine. She said, "Oh, you're the guy that everyone's talking about." And I was like, "Okay." And listen, I had a 33-year relationship with that woman. I worked for Bendel's almost 11 years, and I left, and we continued to be friends. And then I did some work for her when she was the acting CEO of Gumps when Gumps was relaunched, and I worked for her on and off for 4 years. But we were friends, and I grew a great friendship, and she became my mentor.
Well,
And
that's the
her,
thing too, is like the relationships, other aside from your immense talent to keep the relationships going, because you never know when they'll return into your life, what will change, right?
absolutely,
Being flex
absolutely. And
being flexible. Yeah.
another thing, I mean, people, oh my God, you're so severe looking, you're not approachable, you're intimidating. I'm like, guys, this is how I look. I can't, yes, I work hard, very
Yeah.
hard, and I'm very serious on the set, but I also have fun. You have to have fun and enjoy what you're doing. But what I've learned along the way, kindness is the most important thing. And
Yeah.
I think so many people respect me for that because
Yeah.
I am kind of like, you know, my head, I really feel like my head should be this big, but it's not. It's like
Yeah.
when people say, but I was like, guys, I'm Robert. You're not, go there. Just okay. And you have to, even when I'm on a shoot now, and there's an assistant, and I'll say, I was on a shoot this summer, a young girl, she was an assistant to this decorator. And I could see she was a little bit nervous. She was never on it. I said, look in the camera. She said, I'm allowed. I said, I want you to look into that, you know,
To the lens, right? Yeah.
through the lens or look at the, the computer where you see it and you can. I said,
Mm,
"What do you see?" And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I just want you to tell me what you think." I said, "Because you know what? When I work, sometimes you're so close to it. Everyone sees things differently.
that's so
So
true.
it's
Yeah.
not like, oh, listen, I know what I know. I know when I want what I want, and that's good. But you never know what someone else is going to see. It's like when Frederic photographed
Mm,
my apartment, everything was propped and
mm.
flowers and Hudson Moore.
I loved it. It was beautiful.
Hudson is a
Yeah.
great editor, young. He has a great opportunity. And in my bedroom, I have these beautiful, on each side, these beautiful, Giacometti lamps.
Yeah.
And he said, do you mind if we just move them in a bit? Because you're hiding the pictures behind. And I went, oh my God, they've been like that for 15 years, and I never thought like move them over. So
Right.
you can't say, oh, it's my way or the highway. You just never know. Everyone has to collaborate, and you have to be open to that,
I also think
Instead
it's
of,
hard with your own space. I think it's really
yeah,
hard to
yeah,
separate
yeah,
yourself because you have things for so long for different reasons and
yeah,
they
yeah.
have history and you can't see it straight.
No.
So other eyes, another set of eyes really helps. But also I think that's great because, you're teaching the young assistant or whoever,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
need to
Like this
learn.
young girl, she was just, I can say something. I said, yeah, you can
Oh,
say something. I may not agree with you, but say something. Let's all work together.
yeah. So when you started, so I was going to ask who your mentor was, but it's Geraldine of
Yeah,
all the mentors.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I
So
mean, listen,
great.
I had some great, powerful people I worked for. I mean,
Mm.
when I worked at the New York Times, it was Carrie Donovan. She
Oh,
was a great character, larger than life. Uh, you know, Margaret Russell, who I worked with at AD, was a powerhouse. And,
he's so
and, you
great.
know, and when I worked at Tiffany for 13 years, I grew up in New York. I grew up with Tiffany. I worked on 57th Street. Tiffany was there. Bill Cunningham was part of our
Mm.
life on the street.
Oh, the
Remember
best.
those days?
Yeah.
And I Bendel's was a Tiffany's was a great experience because when I was offered the job, I said, I just don't, I'm very interested, but I just don't want to design windows. I need a bigger job than that. And I created the Monster, which, I became vice president of creative services worldwide, which meant I I created this whole I created a whole team in New
Yeah.
York of directors and merchandisers, people who, you know, designed the case line, designed the forms, and that followed out to all the stores. Everything had to look consistent. What my windows were, I had a team of people designing windows for all the other branches that interpreted what New York was, but at a different level because the budgets were different. So I created this consistency throughout the world of Tiffany's,
Amazing.
which was a great, and I was involved in other things, but the biggest reward for me, I mean, this wonderful woman, Jeannie Daniels, hired me. And unfortunately, then she left. And she believed in me and gave me the chance because we were closing the book and moving on. G. Moore was a genius. His windows, he used a lot of artists. I mean, just just his
Mm.
sense. He was so way ahead of his time. And it was my time to do my thing. And people don't like change. But I enjoyed creating these still lifes, like looking through a camera. And then I had the great opportunity. I think I was there about a year or so, and I met Elsa Peretti, and we had
Oh,
an amazing, amazing relationship. And everyone at Tiffany said, "I don't understand what's you and." She said, "He's an artist. He gets me."
yeah.
And I don't mean it in this way. She used to call me Rufi, uh, and never once asked me to change anything. I
Oh,
mean, she
she's smart knowing that,
Well, I mean,
creative, you don't.
I got her, and we were turning the page of what windows look like, how we did table settings, and she was great. And listen, not an easy lady to work with or for, because she was. I mean, you go to Tiffany's today, and what? Her designs are over 50 years old, and they still stand strong. The power of design,
That's
wow.
right, right. And also being open to change
Yeah, yeah.
as a creative,
It was
that's
like, I grew up in the
important.
70s, with Stephen Burrows. I wore all that Elsa Peretti stuff around my neck and the belt and my long hair and my big mustache. And then to
Oh
work
yeah.
for this legend. And, and even when I left Tiffany's and I was going to AD, well, after Tiffany's, I went to other magazines. That's how I got into I went to work for Stephen Drucker at House Beautiful, then Taxi and other different magazines. But the point is, it was just a different time for me, and
Mm.
it was a time that I would never change, you
It's
know.
so great. And it's the best time in
And
history. That whole
yeah,
that whole
yeah,
time in New York and all these
yeah, yeah, yeah.
incredible characters. So, I was just thinking as you were talking, you should write a book. I think you should write a book.
I am starting. I mean, I've been putting it off for quite some time because it's going to take a lot of work. I am going to write a book, but the book is about how I see things. I
Mm.
think it may start in my apartment, things that have
Yeah.
influenced me. How it's a little bit like that film in a funny way, but it's a
Yeah.
collage of my life. I grew up
Right.
in Chinatown. I started Windows, then I went into fashion, then I went to Tiffany's. Then it's just, it'll be about fashion, menswear, things that influence me, beautiful interiors that I shot. I don't want the book to say, oh, well, I produced this shoot. You did, yeah. I mean,
No.
people like me, like stylists, yeah, we all go on shoots and we make pictures, but that's not you didn't design that project. So
Right.
projects that I worked on that I loved, the people who influenced me in my life, the way other people live, it has to be, a great collage and a great scrapbook is what I want to
It's so
do.
you're right. It's almost like it can't be defined in one particular area. It's like it's creativity
Yeah,
in any form, and
yeah,
that's the beauty of it is that you're
yeah.
open to any different type. You could almost do a documentary and start with street theater as the beginning because that
Yeah.
has, your history.
That's basically where it started. I mean, street theater, we were telling a story.
Hmm.
When I'm on a photo shoot, how we go about taking the pictures, and sometimes the photographer and I will send a suggest a layout because you want to walk into that home or that apartment and you want the reader to walk in. It's storytelling, you know?
Well, it's almost like it's I could see you designing a ballet. That makes a lot of sense because it's so right up your alley and it's like one step off what all the different things that you've
Yeah,
done. It's
yeah.
almost like a new challenge that's exciting. And I kind of feel like you're going to be getting calls from the New York City Ballet.
We,
And you're
we,
also a great dancer, Bobby. You're quite
ah,
a dancer. That's another form of
well,
creativity.
when I was quite young, I went to ballet school. I just love.
You
Well,
gotta,
now I'm Fred Astaire. I'm not a ballet dancer, but as you know,
you're good.
I dancing to me is an expression, is a freedom, and
Hmm.
I just feel at this part of my career and my life, I'm dancing as fast as I can and having the best time. I have never been more happy and more comfortable in my life and who I am. And you know,
I
and
love that.
you just have to give back.
Yeah.
Talking to young students, helping designers, you just I don't know. I don't want to sound like, a priest or Saint Sebastian here, but you know, to give back to people, to help young people, where I grew up very humble and I I'm not rich, I'm not poor. my life is so rich in so many different ways.
I
There's
love
some money there, but I'm no
it.
billionaire, but it's just, and I
Yeah.
thank God every day I have this life.
It's so great. So if you, I mean, you've done design and had so many different creative outlets. Was there ever anything that you thought, if I didn't do this, I would have done this? Like, is there anything in the back of your mind that you thought to do and then change your mind? You know what I mean? Like, was there anything else if you weren't in the design world, was there ever anything else like a surgeon
Uh,
or
Yeah,
like an
yeah. Could you
architect?
see could you see me as a doctor? No, so many people say, "Oh, you should be, you're that interior designer." Number one, I have the most high respect for interior designers because, yes, it's very glamorous but being an interior designer or being an editor,
Mhm.
people think, "Oh, isn't it great you're working for a fashion magazine or interior design?" It's hard work what we do to
Right,
go on shoots and to lay out magazines.
right.
Um,
I also say decorating is like when I did
Decorating,
that aftermath, it's like 90%, it's 10% creative and 90% logistics
yeah, yeah,
and
and
paperwork.
holding the client's hand and making
Yeah.
them understanding and convincing them. I think I honestly, I don't think I would ever change what I've done.
Mm.
It's just been no, not. It's just been not a fairy tale, obviously not. But listen, I go back to this whole thing. When I was young, I was quite sick, and I grew up on the outskirts of Chinatown. Went to a missionary school, Chinatown, in the '70s. It wasn't as big
Wait,
now.
tell me about that. You were sick. You were sick as a child.
Yeah, yeah. I
Right.
was very sick, and I'm dyslexic, so that
Hmm.
came from the sickness. And well, I'm no,
Mm.
you're born with you're. I guess you're born being dyslexic, but I was dyslexic, and then I was sick,
Mm.
and then I gained all this weight, and I just felt like, ugh. And I just had this drive that,
Yeah.
what? This is not, I love my parents, but this is not who I am or what I want to be. And, but oh, I felt different. We all feel different. We all, I was this little skinny kid being abused, and then, I got sick, whatever, whatever. But the point is, it made me like, okay, the hell with all of you. You all could stay in this neighborhood, but this isn't for me, you know?
You wanted out.
And
Yeah.
I wanted out, and I was lucky, beyond lucky, that I had the opportunity of going to Bendel's. There was another job before that, but Bendel's really, you know, changed my life and opened a door to another world of great style and fashion and beauty and just I remember going to Europe the first time, going to London, staying at
Mm.
the Carnard Hotel, like who what? Okay.
Dream.
And I just took it all in and played the role. And it
I
was
love that though, but like the challenges that you had as a child and growing up gave you
yeah,
that inner grit,
yeah, yeah. And listen,
physically and mentally
yeah,
to say,
yeah.
I've got to go out there and do
Yeah.
it
And,
on my
and
own.
and growing up, when I was
Mm.
17, maybe I'm still living at home. My friends were like 30 years old. No one,
Mm.
no one really knew how old I was because I was very mature,
Yeah.
and I just was like, I was just focused and like looking around. Okay, what do you want to be when you grow up?
When you started there, were you like 18 or 20
Where? Bendel's?
at Bendel's?
No, no, I was like 22, 23, maybe in my 20s.
Yeah. Wow, that's so incredible, isn't it? Think about that. I mean, and it just was
The
such a different
opportunity,
time.
I mean, and all of a sudden, after a year or so, I realized where I was and what was going on. I mean, I knew where I was but it's like, wow, this is
Did you
really
find
happening.
that the freedom that you've had with the the different projects and the different jobs, did you find that when you went to Tiffany's and it became a little more Corporate, you seem to
Tiffany,
just go into that with no problem. Was that hard though? Because then you have to sort of
Tiff-
manage and it's corporate.
let's be honest, Tiffany
Yeah,
was very, 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 very corporate, beyond.
yeah.
We sat into meetings. Everyone had to look at a glass. I mean, just the decisions, like, and the funny thing is, Geraldine Studd sat on the board of Tiffany's, and she
Oh,
found out. She said, "You're interviewing at Tiffany's, and you didn't tell me." I went, "No." She said, "Is something wrong with you?" I went, "No." I said, "I had 13 interviews over 3 months. I never
oh my,
threw up, so I was a nervous wreck."
oh my God.
And I said, "No." I said, "If they want to hire me, I want to get the job for me,
Right.
my background." And the bottom line is, it was me, between me and this other person. The other person, I did hire him as my director, made him a VP later on. And
Smart.
they almost didn't hire me because they thought I was very, not a snob. I was very intimidating. I was like, "Excuse me?" And you know me, I mean, I wore these custom suits and the tie every
Yeah.
day, and and there I was, dressed up like, and like rolling.
Looking
Okay,
like $1 million. I'm sure they didn't know what
but
to
you know
do.
what? Let's get the
Mm,
job done. We got to move this furniture. We got to open this new store.
right. Right.
And
They didn't realize that the same man who's
no,
dressed impeccably is going to
no,
pull up his,
no,
roll up his sleeves and do
no,
the hard work as well.
no. But
Yeah.
it's like,
Love that.
and I remember Geraldine, like, once I got the job, she wasn't angry at me anymore, but like, "Why didn't you tell me all these 3 months you were about?" I said, "Because I wanted to do it on my own.
Yeah.
And I just wanted you to be, I mean, basically, I wanted her to be proud of my journey because,
Right.
we were, as I said, 33 years of friendship, and, even when I left Tiffany and went on to the magazine field, Elsa called me back, and I was at AD, and I traveled to celebrate 35 years of Elsa Peretti. I went to Milan, I went to London, I went to Paris, I went to exhibition in New York and in Spain, where she came from, to,
Oh,
to create
so
these exhibitions and these parties. So there was this great closeness, and
mm,
what an honor. And I
amazing.
remember when we did something in Paris. You have to, we're all going back to the hotel room, but we're having champagne. She gave me a box, and I opened the box, and I was like, "Okay, what is in this box?" And it was, she's known for the open heart.
Yep.
It is encrusted in diamonds,
Oh my God.
in and
Oh,
out, and it says, "From my heart to your heart."
oh,
And I opened it, and I looked at her. She said, "I know." She said, "I want you to wear it under your shirt to think of me."
oh,
And it's like,
that's amazing.
as I so
That's
like,
so
I
beautiful.
can go sell that because it's a signed piece, but it was just like, wow,
Wow. What a gift.
what a
That's
gift. But
love.
what
Yeah.
but just what a gift to meet this icon, this powerhouse, you know?
Oh my God.
Uh
That's amazing. So with all your traveling and all these experiences, well, first of all, which has been your favorite experience so far? Would you say it's the culmination with of the Urban Electric, or have there been other ones that you've enjoyed? Like, what's been the peak experience of, you know what I mean? A design experience, would you say?
well,
There's
at
so
a young,
many.
well, I mean, I will say at a young age, yes, going to Bendel's, then landing, I grew up in New York, landing at Tiffany's, the best
Mm,
address on 57th Street, designing these windows, discovering artists, or or creating these still lifes myself, and just going. I don't know, like going on shoots. I
mm,
remember when Margaret Russell, who was the brilliant editor, she made Elle Decor what Elle Decor was, and she worked there for
yes.
20 years, and then she got this great opportunity to take over after Paige Rince. And what we were trying to do at that time, of course, AD has changed, was we had to recreate something. And I would go to LA and do 4 shoots in a row and
Mm,
be crazy, but it was exciting. I
mm,
love being part of something.
right.
And I work for myself now. And, whether it was working at El Decor or House Beautiful, freelancing for Veranda or whatever else I do. And, I consult and I'm a contributing editor to Frederic and I contribute to some other magazines. But then, you know,
Mm,
wow, Urban Electric,
I
and even
know.
though when I said I was going to do it, it's like, I was, it was just, you never know what door is going to open. You just have to be open because you don't know what's
Mm.
going to hit you.
That's right. I know you never know. So then they're really, really great people too. I
Oh
love
my God,
Urban
they're
Electric.
amazing.
I think it's
I
the
mean,
best of the best.
they
Oh,
are, they're like, it's like everyone who works there, they believe and they work hard, but they're a family and they're
mm,
caring. And you know, Dave, Dave didn't want to advertise anymore on this. I want to do this book. I want to do this magazine once a year. There's no advertising in it. It's wow to do that and the quality of that book slash magazine. It's and to be part of that. And I would get it once a year, in a beautiful box with a note from Dave. And then one day I met him at Gerald Bland before we really met. And I went, I just want to say, like, I cannot thank you enough that I'm included on your editor's list. He said, oh, yeah, you're the guy who writes me a handwritten note. I said, I hope you
ah.
could understand it because I write I write like a doctor.
I
And,
love your.
and then, 2 years later, there I was having dinner with him.
Hmm.
And then he came up with this idea. It's like, wow, okay. You know,
But see, even a
sometimes
handwritten note, do you know what I mean? Like these days, it's sort of
I
funny
know,
with
wait,
everybody the way
no,
they
no,
they
no.
text, they don't communicate. The communication has gone out the window. When you receive a handwritten note,
I mean,
it's the
listen,
most gracious thing you
I
can
mean,
imagine. It's lovely.
I love sending birthday cards. I love sending
Hmm.
cards. I love sending notes. It's just,
Hmm.
it's a lost art, but we
Hmm.
can't, we, I mean, the way you grew up and your parents, you grew up in a very, very special surrounding. I grew up differently, but we had my mother always dressed well, wore white gloves, set a beautiful table. There was always a sense of pride and making something out of nothing and making it the best. And that's always stood in my mind. You have to have manners. You have to hold a door for someone or write a thank you note. Or
Right.
I hold the door for a lady. They look at you like, really? Or getting on the bus, like, please, after
Right.
you. But just everything's changed. But
Hmm.
we can't get bitter about change because the world does have to change. We age, we change, but you still have to believe in what you believe in and hold that and have pride.
Right. That's
Because
right.
if you don't change, if you don't accept change, you lose,
That's right.
or you just die. It's like, okay,
Right.
listen, I walk down the street. I was like, oh my God. I mean, listen, there's a way of wearing shorts and a shirt. I mean, these guys with flip-flops, like, are you going to bed?
Yeah.
Like you go to Europe, the way people put them. Listen, I'm not saying
Yes.
all New Yorkers are sloppy, but
Right.
you have to have a sense of grace and a sense of the way you wear your hat. And,
Hmm.
the world has become a little bit too comfortable for that.
Speaking of that, what's your favorite city to be in, Robert?
Well, I'm going to London tomorrow, and I can't hardly wait.
That's the best.
I
Right?
mean, there's something about that English accent and just, I don't know. I just love London. I just always loved it. I just always felt at home
Hmm.
there. I mean, I remember for my 50th birthday, my friend Philip and Mish gave me a big celebration. And
Right.
Mish is a great speaker. And Philip
Yes.
says very little. Philip says, I never knew an Italian man who thought he was English. And
That's so, I love it,
I
Robert. That's
there's
the
just
best.
something about London, and on one of my first trips with Bendels, and Geraldine Stubbs at the time was married to an Englishman, and she loved London. And she took me to these beautiful antique stores and just walking around and just like, wow,
Mm, right.
the whole different, you know. I mean, listen, I have a love-hate for New York. It's
Mm,
fast, there's great energy, it's the place of opportunity. Um, but it's changed, but
yeah.
you,
But
you
it's
know,
still the best, don't you
still
think?
the best. I mean, it broke my
Yeah.
heart like what, 6 months ago, a year ago. I was walking past 57th Street. There's Bendel's is gone. All half of
Mm,
those places are, it's just a big hole. What are they going to put there? A big building?
I know.
There's so much of New York that's so different, but it is our city, and there is nothing like it. I mean, some of
I
the
know.
streets are really clean, some of them are really dirty, but you know,
Right. It's a great city, though. You never feel like you're missing anything in New York. You always feel like there's just energy. You can do anything.
I mean, the city that never
Anything.
sleeps. And
Mm,
listen, here I am, but like, oh, I never discovered that building, or look at that detail.
right.
It's full of surprises.
So
Um,
great.
but
Well,
we
Robert, I'm
finished.
so
Oh,
happy to, I'm just so
yeah.
happy to see you and hear.
Well,
I mean,
listen.
it's just so fun to like the stories. That's why I really think a book is in order
Oh
because
yeah. Oh
the
yeah.
time in New York, it also is the best time in New York, and um, the opportunity to do something different and
Yeah, yeah.
be
I
whoever you
mean,
want to be was there.
what's so funny? On last Friday, I stayed in New York and I went to see The Devil Wears Prada too. And like people, oh my God, fashion's a joke. But like, if you're in fashion and you work for a fashion magazine or interior design or you create a fragrance or you're a hair, whatever you do, until you're in it. I mean, I love fashion and I loved working for a fashion magazine, the energy of fashion, the energy of interior design. When you're in it, you understand it, and there's a different energy. So we're all
Right,
different and we all see
right,
things differently, and that's the beauty. That's the beauty. And I think what I do, even on a shoot or in the windows or with the film, it's storytelling.
right. Storytelling.
And we all
But
have a
that's the
different.
thing that the overlap from interior, fashion comes first and then interiors when you talk about like trends and
Right.
colors and it's funny because remember back in the day would be at High Point like or the florals or
Oh,
the tea stained floral and you're
oh,
like wow
oh.
because fashion's so exciting but it's not really it's sort of like you know uh a dream. It's not, what you
Great.
see on the runway, you're not going to see in reality. So it's
No.
sort of like taking the dream and then it sort of trickles into interiors. So, but there's so much overlap in the visuals of both to you can see how you go back from fashion to interiors. It makes a lot of sense because they're one and the same, just
No, I
one.
mean, listen, the way you dress yourself, the way you dress your home, it's an
Right.
extension, you know?
Right.
It's an extension. But, I love, I've been on many shoots, whether they're small, whether it's a castle,
Right.
home or apartment. But, when I open my door, this is my little haven and my little
Yeah.
where salon, I call it. And I'm very comfortable.
Mm.
And as you grow older, you edit and less is more. And some people never edit and have stuff and stuff. But
Right.
I love my environment and I love every moment of my life, and that's very important.
Especially
Um,
when you travel and you do these other projects and then you come home to your place in New York, you almost don't want, you don't, you want, it's almost less is best. You just want to keep it clean and like I can think, you can think better in a cleaner, more open space that isn't cluttered or had too much going on, too much
yeah, yeah, but I
pattern
do
and
believe that we one has to live with things he or she loves and
right.
that they relate to. Um, whether it's, you have your mother's chest or a beautiful chair, or some
Mm,
treasures that were family and you surround them by other things. It's,
right.
some people, I really feel that some people hire interior designers for that look. Oh, I'm going to hire Robert Stillen or I'm going to hire Michael Smith. But are
Right.
they oh, come in. Oh, Michael Smith designed this or Robert Stillen.
Yeah.
But are you comfortable? Are you just saying that because, oh, I'm head to toe in Chanel, but are you comfortable in that suit?
Yeah.
You have to wear your clothes. Your clothes don't wear you. You have to be comfortable
Yeah.
in that, where you have to enjoy like, when I had my Jack Russells and, oh my God, your dog sat
Yeah.
with your furniture. It's like, they're not dogs. They're part of my life.
And they're in charge.
You
Right.
know? Hey,
Well, I
come
also
on.
think too, I always said to my girls, it really takes a long time to find your own style, and
Absolutely.
say,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to get into trends. That actually doesn't work for my body or
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
myself. It's better to know, it's so much better. And it saves so much time and energy to just say, I know what I like. Take
Yeah.
this
And,
conference.
I mean, people say, "Oh my," I don't think about. Of course, I think about what I'm wearing. I mean, from suits to the way I dress now. But it's almost like a uniform.
Mm,
It's like I'm comfortable the way this is this time of my life, and this is how I look today, and this is how I looked yesterday. And like anything and everything, I'm not going to wear a pair of leather pants at this or have a ponytail. You know,
yeah,
uh, you have to have a little pride and a little respect for your body and who you are.
right.
Um, but it's all
You
part of.
always dress very elegantly, Robert. You always have.
Well,
Yeah,
listen, listen. I always say you could wear jeans and a beautiful shirt, but always
right.
make sure your shoes are polished, people.
Yes.
You know, when a man has polished
I'm
shoes, I see these guys walking on
I'm going
Park
to quote
Avenue.
that with my fellas over here,
All right,
the
like
Butler House.
guys, like you're
Get
all
it
dressed up,
together.
your shoes are like not polished. It would help. Um,
Right.
But the bottom line, Claire, no matter what we do, you have to have a sense of humor. You have to enjoy
Yes.
what you do, and we're lucky to be in the field.
Yes.
We're not doctors. We're not curing cancer. Just enjoy the beauty,
Yeah.
and we're lucky that we do what we do, and it's great.
And being flexible. I think I remember my father, sort of I got luckier that the harder I worked, the luckier I got. Sort of being in the room, being present and showing up and being willing to work hard.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
your
mean,
creativity is
but I think
unmatched,
we're
Robert.
working hard, and just you have to
Mm,
observe everything and look around and.
mm,
Every time I go to the Frick or the Met or,
mm.
I'll be going to some museums in London, just
Yeah.
to absorb everything. People say, oh, where do you get your inspiration from? I spent a lot of time down in Lake Worth, Florida. My friend Misha and Joseph live there. And I
Mm,
go walking with the dog at six
mm,
o'clock. I am so obsessed with it's dark and then the sky opens and
mm.
that red. I'm obsessed with the I don't know. It's like
Beauty. Right?
it's like a dance, seeing it change and move. Everything.
That's where I see you going to the ballet, doing the
Okay.
sets for the ballet,
You
Bobby.
never know, baby.
And I think the title of your book.
The title of my book, if it
What's the
ever
title?
comes, How I See Things.
Oh,
How,
oh, I like it.
do you remember when we were working with Jason, when
Yeah.
we had that party at that club and I took all that
Oh my God, yes.
all and I took all that shredded tool and to me that was like I don't know. I was like, what the hell was I thinking? But I go back to that because that was so like
The Lotus Club,
the
right?
Lotus Club. That
He
was a
did. He
great.
wanted to have a costume party. We were all dressed up in period
Yeah,
costumes,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. That
And
was.
Dave Butler, I was dating Dave,
I
and he
know
had to wear
the
a
toga.
toga.
God bless. He was a great sport, Mr. Dave.
Wasn't he?
Oh
I don't
my
know if I
God.
could get him to do that today, but he was a good
Anyway,
sport. Yeah,
but
no, it was beautiful. You created
I was
a
like,
masterpiece.
woohoo!
Yeah.
It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, I
thank you
love you,
very
Robert.
much.
You're the
And
best.
when did you get back from your trip?
Just a couple of days ago. And
Did you go with Dave or your girlfriends or your
I
kids?
went with some friends and it was really fun. We had a good time. I'll tell you some funny stories about it.
Well, yes, I'm
We'll
sure
have
you.
to follow up on
All
this.
right, babe. Listen, thank
I
you so
love you.
much.
Thank you so much for
Oh,
meeting me. You
you-
look great. I'm
you're
so happy. You're the best.
you're
Appreciate
so
it.
kind. Bye.
Thank you. Love you. Okay, bye.